Hi everyone, this is Jim. This video starts off with some pictures of the tournament and some random commentary by me. So if you want to just get to the game itself, you can skip ahead to 10 minutes into the video, and that's where I start going over the game. Okay, the tournament was played in Japantown in San Francisco. It was actually played in a mall there around Japantown Plaza. So this is a shot. I'm standing in the mall looking at the tournament room. You can see the tables behind the window, but in the glass reflection here, you can see the mall. Anyway, let's step into the room. This is how it was set up. There were rows of tables with 2 boards on each table, four boards to a row, and they provided the boards, the stones, and also clocks. They're not shown in this picture, but they had clocks set up for everybody, so you didn't have to bring your own clock. I have a chess clock, but I don't know if it does the Byo-Yomi periods that a Go tournament has. The time control was game in 40 minutes with 5 20-second overtime periods. So that's a slower time control than what I'm used to playing online, so it gives you time to think about the moves. But it's faster than, for example, professional games where each side would have a couple of hours. And also the Byo-Yomi period being only 20 seconds of Byo-Yomi. I usually play with 30 seconds in the overtime period. So it actually got kind of fast towards the end as you got into the overtime periods. Let's see, here's another shot of the tournament room, and here's the pairing sheet. This is from the tournament 2 years ago. These pictures that was when I took the pictures, but the tournament this year was played in the same location and was organized the same way. They showed all the pairings on a single sheet, but actually there were 4 sections. The top section here, these are Dan level players. So 2 years ago there was like a 7 Dan and a 6 Dan at the top board. This year there was actually a 9 Dan player, so pretty strong turnout in the top section. Below that there's a low-level Dan player and high-level Q player. These negative numbers correspond to Q ratings. That's the AGA way of indicating Dan versus Q. And these are AGA ratings, the ones with the decimal point, but they're like the traditional Dan ratings. Where you see ratings like this, 1 Dan, 4K, 3K, without the decimal point, those are players' self-estimates. So in this tournament, I estimated my rating as 18Q based on what my rating was at OGS. And that seemed fairly accurate. I scored okay. Actually won 3 games and lost 1. So I picked up a couple of rating points relative to 18Q. So afterwards, after this tournament was rating, my rating was negative 17 point something. So pretty much in the same ballpark. Yeah, so the bottom section here is all the double-digit Q players. The third section here, third from the top, is for the low, single-digit Q players, and then we have the low Dan, mid Qs, and then the high-level Dan players. So anyway, a good range of playing ability in the tournament. This is the plaza. The mall is broken up into 2 sections, and there's a plaza in between the 2 of them, so it has this monument there. And then standing in the plaza looking out the other direction, this is looking out into Japantown in San Francisco. And then on the other side of the mall, there were places to eat. Also on our side, there were places to eat as well. So I stopped and ate at this place where they had some ramen. Unfortunately, this restaurant isn't there anymore, but it was pretty good. There was some other restaurant in its place, but it was quite busy, so I ended up eating in a cafe this time. But all in all, it was a great experience. I enjoyed it a lot. This is a score sheet I just wanted to show. And this is a score sheet from this year. This was my 3rd round game. And so this is, not everybody was keeping score. In fact, most people were just playing without keeping score. And it does slow you down a little bit. I got better at it. This was the second time, my second tournament, my second try at trying to keep score. The way this score sheet works, it's kind of designed to be easy to record. It's a little slower when you're trying to play it back, but so my first stone was in the upper right-hand corner, so you put a 1 there, and then my opponent played in the diagonally opposite corner, so there's a 2 down there at the 4-4 point, and so you just have to keep track of the current move number and write it down on whatever square that stone or whatever intersection that stone was played on. And so as long as you can remember the current move number, then it's pretty easy to keep score. But it did take a little bit of practice to be able to do that quickly. It does take up some time to write it down, make sure you've got it in the right place, and all of that. You can see my handwriting got pretty messy at times, trying to correct it and write down the correct number. It helps that, if I start out with number 1, I'm always going to be the odd numbers, and my opponent is always going to be the even numbers. That stays consistent through the game. There is a trick with Cove, or if you have any situation where a stone gets played again where it was played before, like if you've captured some stones and then you play back there. So the first time you place a stone on a intersection, it gets a number. So like move 58, I played at this P5 here. Then at some later point, if he captured that stone, actually that was his stone. So if at some later point I captured that stone, then that disappears from the board. That doesn't really show up. You can just tell by the fact that it was surrounded. But if you later place a stone inside there for some reason, maybe it's a co-fight or something like that, you don't want to write over that and be all messy. So what you do is you take that number 58, you write it down on the side, and make a little table, and then say you played 67 where 58 was, and you just write 67 down, and then if that square ever changes ownership after that, you write the number underneath that. So anywhere there's points where there's more than one stone got played there in the course of the game, you have a little table on the side of the board. So that's how you do the scoring, and it's kind of interesting, but it is a bit time consuming. And also after you've got the score sheet and you want to take it back and type it into your computer so you can evaluate it and play through it, it takes a while. So like, for example, I played move 53 here, my opponent played move 54 here, and then where did I play 55? So you have to start looking around and see where was 55 played. So, especially if you're in a section of the game where you're jumping around. I mean, you get little sections where you're playing all in the same neighborhood, and it's fairly easy to find, but then every now and then, one side or the other will tanuki, and you have to kind of search over the whole board if you don't remember exactly what happened at that point to find where it was played. So I did go and buy an application called BW Go, which does scoring. It's an app that runs on Android tablets and phones, and so I'll include a link to that in the description of the video in case you're interested, because I think that's what I'm going to try next time. I've been playing around with it, and basically it just lets you record the game by just pointing on it, touching it where the stone was played, and it automatically generates an SGF file of the moves for you, so you can save it and upload it to your computer, and all that seems to work pretty well. Okay, so after the tournament, it took them a while. The tournament was played on the 18th, and the result didn't come up immediately. I was sort of waiting to make this video until after I got this result so I could see what the final result was. So my rating improved by about 1 point, or one level, because like I said, it was negative 17 point something, and now it's negative 16 point something. So you could think of this as corresponding to a 16Q. That seems to be the way they rounded it, because when I was playing in this tournament, they had assigned me a rating of 17Q for the pairings. It felt a little bit during the tournament like I was underrated, because I got some games where I had a lot of where I had a number of handicap stones, and it just seemed like it was pretty difficult for my opponent to overcome those handicap stones. So I ended up winning 3 games and losing 1 in this tournament. But there was one game, and I have the recording of it, that was close to even, and it was a pretty exciting game. So that's the one I will show you here. And I just wanted to mention that I'm using this program CGoban I use this to edit the SGF file to add commentaries, and then I was going to play through it. It's a free program. You get it. It's CGoban is the interface you use to play on KGS. So if you go to the KGS website, you can download this program, but you can also use it to edit SGF files and play through the games. So in this game, you can see my rating was 17Q. My opponent's rating was 16Q, And so there's a one stone handicap here. All the games were played with the handicap unless the players were evenly matched. So I get the first move. I have the black pieces, and my opponent doesn't have any komi. So it's I have to he has to win the game on the board, or I have to win the game on the board. In the early part of the game here, I used the Idago Joseki dictionary to check out the josekis that we were playing in the corner. So this diagonal move, let's see, I approached the corner of the black pieces, and white played the diagonal move. That's considered a bit slow these days, but it's still a reasonable way to play. And I think based on what I looked up in the dictionary, I think maybe I will try this move next time, where I just play a two-space extension. That seems like a simple way to contend with this. This is a pretty solid formation. There's still opportunity for me, however, to jump into the corner, but I can't really fight against those stones. So, but the move I played is actually the top choice. The first choice, and this was like the second choice in the Joseki dictionary. So this is still quite a popular way to play. It strengthens the stone and looks out towards the outside, the center, and also towards the side here. And then white tanuki'd here, which is a bit unusual. So the way the Joseki normally goes is there's two variations. One is the peaceful one. So white plays an extension here, and black plays an extension here. And I think I like this result just fine. So this seems okay to me. Think I'm thinking about avoiding is white could play this fighting move here. White can actually pincer these two stones and ask them what they're going to do. And then the normal response is a counter pincer, and white jumps out and black jumps out. And so it just turns into a huge fight right from the beginning. So I'm thinking, that rather than play into this setup, which is a Joseki, so it's, I'm sure, just fine for black. But I shouldn't play that way unless I'm really looking for a fight from the get-go. So it seems like this other move at the beginning, instead of playing up there, but playing down here, just a two-space extension, avoids that fight, and is still good for black, or at least okay. So I think that's what I will try next time. Anyway, like I said, he didn't play the normal move here, but he tanuki'd. And then, I asked, the other thing I was doing to check this game out was I was using the Leela with the Go Review Partner. And so Leela, the chess engine, not Leela Zero, but the old Leela, it made some recommendations. The Joseki doesn't say anything about what to play. Sometimes they do, but in this case there was no hint in the Joseki dictionary about what to play if white tanuki's at this point. So I asked Leela what Leela would play, and it suggested its first move was actually to respond to the tanuki and play down here. And I think this is an interesting move, this move that Leela is suggesting. It kind of does two things. If you look at it, it's making a big extension from this stone in the corner. So if I were to combine that extension with an enclosure, I could threaten to make a big moyo here. And at the same time, it's a loose pincer on this stone. So it's kind of a double-sided move, looking in both directions. These numbers here, 1, 2, and 3, these are the choices. This was like the top choice, and this was the first alternate, if you want to think of it that way. It's really, I couldn't get the numbering to start at 2, so 1 is really the second choice, but you can think of it as the first alternate. So it really likes playing in this area. All of its top 3 choices are here, and then beyond that it looks to the approach to this stone, and beyond that it looks to the jump into the corner. So those are Leela's top choices. But the move I played is, strengthening this stone, responding to my approach this way. And that also is fine if the evaluation on Leela didn't really change much at all in this first part of the game. So I think these are pretty minor differences at this point. I'll point out moves where the evaluation swings a lot. So white responds in a normal way, and I respond. And then white played an unusual move here. So the normal move is to come on top like that, after which black can extend, and white can extend downward, and black can get an extension. So this would be a Joseki here, and white can jump out on this side or play some other move. He's pretty secure here, but yeah, I think a jump on this side would make the most sense for white. So that would be fine for both sides. in this position, I was actually thinking that this move here is is the Joseki, but I'm wrong about that. I know I've seen this pattern before, and actually shows up in some of this recommendations by Leela a few moves later. So I think maybe it is an idea, but maybe not in this particular position. Anyway, white, instead of playing that way, just extended here, and so I tanuki'd. I didn't know quite how to respond to it. But Leela actually, this is the point where Leela wants to play this formation. So just get a solid group here, and you have the beginnings of a wall facing in this direction. Maybe you could branch out over here. Then we see some alternates, other ways of strengthening these stones. Another way of strengthening these stones rather than playing here would be to just extend downward. And a third idea is to play this pincer over here and try and surround those stones. So those are ideas Leela has at this point. Let's see, but I played the enclosure, so I got this corner, and white jumped out over here. So white has got a nice base there. And now I approached the last corner. It hasn't been approached, and now there's an extension there. And then I followed up by just dropping back from this stone, thinking to link up across here. But it is a bit of a loose connection, and Leela had some suggestions here. Suggested jumping in at this point in the middle of the left side of the board, which is a very interesting move. This is also a kind of a dual purpose move. It's an extension from these stones, but it's a kind of pincer on these stones as well. So I think what this brought to my mind, I was making notes as I went through this, and there's a couple places like this where Leela found these moves, where the move that I played, well, you can actually see it's the fourth choice of Leela here, or fifth, because that's actually the first one. It's on the list. It's a reasonable move, but the top choice here is a move that's kind of dual purpose. This one just it's dual purpose in a way. It's looking to this stone and it's looking to these stones over here. But this one is looking to be an extension off of these stones, as well as limiting the scope of these stones. So it seems like the more active move. Other choices would be to dive into the corner here, or to place this stone slightly closer over here, to jump into this side. Those are other ideas, or to play where I played. Anyway, it's just interesting. I thought that Leela finds these moves that are dual purpose that I often miss. That's one of the things I made a note of going over the game. So at this point, because of this move, I guess, even though it was on Leela's list, this is a point where the evaluation shifts, and now Leela starts to prefer white in these positions. Let's see. White played a limiting move approaching these stones on this side, and I played a pincer here. I thought I didn't want to give white all this territory on the side, and it seemed kind of loose over here. But there's a problem with the pincer here, in that white can exploit some of the weaknesses in the corner, since I never played this move at b15 here. Leela can jump in there now, get a forcing move, and so then jump out, so Leela can split my stones apart, and so now it seems like white is pressuring black more than black is pressuring white. Right at this point, Leela was suggesting just defending right away rather than pincering, so probably a more prudent move there. Let's see, but this is how the game went, and it's a back and forth game, so it's not going to all be one-sided, but at this point white has an edge, and this move doesn't help. This is an interesting case where it's sort of the flip side of moves that have dual purpose. This is a move that has two effects. One effect is to strengthen this black group, which is what I was going to do, and it does it in sente, because white is inclined to respond here, and then I play here. So that was my idea. Just build up this group. I'm doing the same thing down here. I'm going to lean on this group. But at the same time, it also helped white. So there's a difference between this move and this move. And the difference is this move is approaching a group which is strong already. So, when white plays here to block me, that's not making much of a change, and I've gotten this extra stone in, so it's kind of giving me something for free. But But when I play this move and I push at this group and white plays here, it actually strengthens this group quite a bit. It now makes this connection between these two and these three stones quite solid. It gives this stone as a beachhead to play into this area if I try to grow it, and it also gives white a way to cut this stone off. So this move I made actually helps white as much as it helps black. So that's what I mean by it's a kind of the flip side of a dual purpose move. It's got two purposes, but one of them is to help me and one of them is to hurt me. So the move that Leela's suggesting here, well, it has several alternatives, all of which strengthen this group. So I'm kind of playing in the right area at this point in time, but I should find a simple move that strengthens these stones here. The top choice was to play at C18 here and just take the corner. And then I think this group is going to be alive with the corner and the possibility of an eye here. And also a view to the outside, so it can't be killed at least in one move. It's got too many ways to live. Other possibilities were to play in this area and just be jumping out from these two stones. Okay, but I played the push, and then white blocked, and I played here. Now white is not always making the best moves here as well. So, I mean, you would expect this. You can see we're a couple of players that are both double-digit Qs, not that different. Oh, and by the way, this is a one-stone handicap game because I'm 1 Q higher than Patrick here. He has a one-stone handicap, so I get to move first, and there's no Comey. There's only, well, half a point of Comey. So the result on the board will determine the result of the game. Let's see. So he responded here when, in fact, this would be a good point for white to play in this area here. You know, this group of stones here is not, it is almost connected, but not quite. I mean, if I extend here, white can push up this way, and then I have to connect this way, and then white can cut here. You know, it's just got a lot of weaknesses, and this move exploits that. Threatening to play some of those cuts and keeping me from building anything over here. And that's more important than blocking me from pushing down here, which white can easily handle. It's not like I have any big threats against this group here. So that's a place where white could have improved his play. Let's see. But anyway, I get this move in. You know, there are going to be mistakes on both sides, and I managed to get some shape here. So I'm feeling okay, although I think the shape is a bit funny. I was worried a little bit about this group through most of the rest of the game. And then finally I came back and jumped out over here to give some strength to these stones, try and create a little base here, and also look out to the side, maybe look out to the center and maybe connect over to this side. Let's see. So white played underneath, and I just extended. Now this is an example of another kind of mistake I made several times in this game. It would have been better to block here. And, you know, I guess I was playing cautiously. I think there's 2 points to playing cautiously. One is that if you're playing a little more aggressively with this Hane here, you need to read, and so maybe I just wasn't confident in my ability to read. And the other thing is, you know, this does look more solid. Sometimes you want to be solid here, but, you know, these three stones, maybe they're more heavy than solid. You know, they're a group that's probably big enough that I don't want to give up. It would give white a lot of territory over here. Then I haven't really done anything to help them get some shape or to connect up by playing a move like that. So maybe I should be looking to be a little bit more fighting here. Anyway, so the Hane here does work. It works in kind of a sacrificial way. So white will cut. That's what I expected. I could Atari on top. White could extend. White extends down. I keep Atarying. And then, you know, white's captured that stone and gained some space. But I've made these stones stronger, and now it's a little more probable that they can jump out easily. They can keep this group split apart. This group is not alive yet. So probably, I think Leela was suggesting even extending once more here to keep these groups from connecting up, and then later jumping out, and I can put some pressure on this group of stones that white has. So we'll have the case of 2 weak groups running out together here. That should be okay for me. Let's see. So yeah, I just extended here. White approached, and I pincered. Let's see. There was an alternative here. Yeah, white liked the kick down here, but the top choice was actually this move here, the turn. So I played here, and Leela is suggesting playing here. So that strengthens this group, keeps these guys separated, and maybe looks to build a base. I mean, I have potential to create an eye here as well as looking to the outside. I mean, I can't get a two space eye there, or two eye base there, but I can get maybe one eye. And with the pressure on this group of stones here, there shouldn't be too much trouble either connecting up or getting another eye in the center. So that looks like a good move. Other moves suggested by Leela are coming on top here, which would also help to link these stones together. Second or third choice here was just defending the corner this way. A third or fourth choice here was to cap on this side, and lastly to jump down here. So interesting alternatives to the move I played, which is this pincer. And I think in retrospect, it's also true this move is not a Sente move. I mean, I was thinking, okay, he's got stones on this side. I'm just going to split them apart, jump in the center. But, you know, this is a weak stone. If I was going to split them apart, I should probably have played a little more aggressively and just pincered that stone. Because now he gets a base over here, and I don't quite have room for a base over here. My stone is uncomfortably close to the corner. Let's see. So he attaches to my stone to strengthen his corner, and I play away there. Leela really thinks I should respond there. It's interesting that I guess white is going to come in here, but this stone, well, it looks at maybe setting up a push into this group here, maybe combined with a Hane down here. Could be useful for me at some point later. So it looks like it's setting up some later moves as well as maybe looking towards the center more and strengthening this group. And I played this move. It's a two-space extension. You know, this is a dual-purpose move, right? It strengthens this area. I mean, enlarges this area. I'm building more territory for myself and taking away potential from this group. Let's see. He played down here, so he did immediately continue. And then I responded now by just extending. This is another case where maybe I should have played something different. The top choice from Leela is once again the turn over here on this side. Other choices were the kick over here in the upper right corner, the cap over here, or blocking by playing the Hane down here and you know, being willing once again to put up with that cut. Okay, so at this point, it's been about even, but now white seems to be taking an advantage for a while. It keeps it for a significant portion of the game, starting from here. So to recap what happened in the game so far, it was pretty even up to about move 20, I think, and then white. I played some inaccurate moves, and white got the edge, and then white played some slow moves, and I got back to about even, and now white is taking the advantage again. And these are all expressed in terms of percentages, so it's hard to evaluate what that means in human terms. So it's not like it's counting territory. It's really just giving you odds of which side is winning. And now it starts to favor white. Well, speaking of territory, I'm going to return to this point in a bit, but you can already start to see things shaping up. We get to a situation where I have potential in the middle, but no actual territory. And white has real territory along the side, and this corner in particular is looking pretty big. I never did play this slide down to D2, which Leela suggested a couple of times. So, of course, that's not defended. This is still open down here. But as you count the territory, I looked at this game at several points. White's territorial lead starts to grow at this point. Let's see. Yeah, white approached this group of two stones. I haven't done anything about them. So white pushes out, and I decided to branch out into the center. I'm starting to think about this center strategy at this point. But Leela prefers, well, once again, going back and playing at this corner and just defending that. And alternatively, playing over here, if I was going to play in this area, it has a couple suggestions. One is to Hane, another is to extend, another is to play the diagonal move here. So it didn't really like jumping out at this point. It thinks I should just defend things. And in fact, this jump out is actually sacrificing this stone. I think I didn't really quite realize that, but there's no good way for me to save that stone. And so white has enlarged his territory by a bit here. And I am building some center influence here with these moves, these shoulder hits. And then I come back after creating a little bit of space here. I come back and defend the corner because I realized as I was pushing white in this direction, it's also kind of pushing him into the corner. And now here, white could have played more strongly. He just descended, preventing me from undercutting, but he could have counterattacked this group here and just gone out. It seems like this is perfectly safe for white, and it's actually a little bit troublesome to defend this group, which doesn't have a base and is not connected to anything at this point. So, but white did not play that way. So he just descended down. I continued, and even here, Leela's suggesting that white can cut here and fight rather than just playing passively like this. So white lets me build up some significant center influence here, although white does get a line of stones out here. It sort of prevents me from connecting these center stones to this side. So that does reduce my potential somewhat, but I still have a significant amount of potential on the side. Oh, and I play this capping move to keep these stones from continuing to run in this direction. So white pokes into the corner and I block. There's another interesting point. There's a common mistake I think that I make. A better way to blocking is all right, but Leela likes blocking with this move. It's actually, I guess, another example of a dual purpose move because it not only does it block, but it strengthens this stone here. So the way I blocked, which is just a simple blocking, white can cut, and I play here, and he went ahead and grabbed that stone. So it gave up a little bit of territory compared to, say, this line where I block this way. White can push in, and then I can play here, and I just keep more territory in the corners, and it's at no cost, right? It's an equivalent exchange in terms of cente. And in fact, well, I guess I do get cente here, so maybe it's not quite equivalent in terms of cente, but I lose some points in terms of territory. Anyway, I play in the center. White comes back and defends this corner, so this takes away my jump underneath here. Let's see, but I played a drop down here. I was thinking, maybe I'd go for a monkey jump later if he didn't defend, and if he did defend, then I would get a free move in. But he didn't actually respond there. So at this point, Leela suggests I would be better off extending upwards and just strengthening this group and looking to the outside, looking to connect up over here. Okay, so I descended here, and he could have played on top immediately. He plays that in a bit. He first plays a move over here, so still making some trouble with these stones on this side of the board. I block, and then I stay connected. So that's about as much as he can do over here, and he switches attention back to this side, plays the Hane on top, and I block. But this helps to isolate these three stones. Now I really have to worry about them a little bit. So I start jumping out and going to the center, and then that gets him this free move here. And at this point, I think I made a comment. Yeah, at this point you can really see that white has a lead in territory. You see he's got this whole side and most of this corner. I still have the monkey jump here, but he's going to get quite a bit of that corner. He has a little territory here. He has a pretty big side over here. I guess, well, I have this intrusion here, so I'm going to eat up some of the side. So, but he has this corner and some territory here. And compared to where my actual territory is, there's still, this is not completely solid here, but I probably can convert that. But where else do I have territory? This is kind of a small group. Everything else would be in the center. Now, I was feeling optimistic about the game at this point because this is such a large area in the center. It just looked pretty good to me. I thought I was doing fine here. But it's not so simple. He has this pretty big routes into my territory. This stone here is a beachhead from which he can come into my territory. these stones are now connected up to this side, so they're no longer weak. I think that's a key point. And these stones also have a pretty big window onto the center. So those are things to worry about. So let's continue with the game. On the other hand, yeah. So anyway, at this point, the evaluation of the Leela engine is that white has a pretty good edge. You know, something like 20 to 80-20 or something like that, 70-30 in that range. And what I put this on OGS and ask it to estimate the territory, it gives white somewhere between 20 and 30 points of a lead in territory. But that's because it gives me almost nothing in the center. And in fact, in practice, my potential is much larger than white's. So in fact, this is still a very close game, and we'll see that play out later. So he starts immediately jumping into the center and starting to poke at my territory here. And I connect up. I want to make sure this group is connected over to this side. Let's see. He jumps out on this side too, and I try to connect up on this side. Here's an example. This move here, I think, was played because of a misreading. So, you know, I've been kind of categorizing my errors as I go along. This is, you know, there were situations where I avoided reading and played a move that was too simple. This is a situation where I played a more complicated move, but I didn't read it out correctly. So there's only a few errors that I really attribute to misreading, but this is one of them. So here, Leela is suggesting to play in the same area, but it's saying I should just play like this. Atari this stone, force white to commit over here. White connects, and then, oh, I can actually jump into the corner at this point. Sort of like the monkey jump I play later, and then seal off this side, and that turns this into territory. And then I also have connected up over here pretty well. Let's see. You know, I haven't connected. He still has that cut. Anyway, that was Leela's suggestion. What I missed, I played this with the idea of trying to cut this stone off. You see, he's poked into my territory with this move at 07, and I saw that it was a knight's move, and I saw that I could play this move with Sente, right? Because I'm threatening to capture the stone, so white has to respond to this. And so I was thinking I could cut that stone off, but in fact, it doesn't work so well. So he pushes. I block, and he captures this stone. I was sacrificing that stone, so I'm okay with that. And I play this move. That was a move I was counting on to cut the knight's knight move there. So he extends, and here I was planning to extend this way. And, and when I got to this point, I realized this is my error in reading. I realized that this group that I was creating to make that cut is an empty triangle, and so it's only got 2 liberties, and white can start pushing it around. Now this turns out to still be a playable move. This is the way Leela says things might continue. White has this cut. I have to extend and make this ugly block of 4 stones. White can continue to Atari. I extend once again. White Ataris once again. I extend once again. And then white comes back over here to connect up. And he can connect up to these stones. So white gets quite a bit, but I can get this turn in and actually build a little more of a secure wall over here. And I think this actually gives me a little bit more of the center than the line I played. So it was not an unplayable option, but I got to this point and I thought I really needed to connect here before continuing, and that allows white to connect. So white gets to continue to march into the center and take more of my territory here. So I'm jumping out on this side trying to keep white split apart, but white manages actually to connect across here. So he does these various pokes, and I'm blocking, and then here's a mistake that white makes. So white plays this move. Where is it? Yeah, this move at S10 is, I guess you'd call that a slow move. It's not threatening anything because these groups are separately alive, so it doesn't affect the situation much if they connect underneath. So it's really just gaining a couple points of territory to play that move. and it gives me sente, so it gives me a move where I can do something. So so Leela's recommending for white to play down here. This is a sente move. I want to block that. And then play over here, and once again seal off these borders in a way that favors white. So that's Leela's recommendation. White actually played the move, this move, played this move, and now I do the monkey jump, so I gain some territory here. And then I seal off the border here. Because I got that monkey jump with sente, I don't have to keep pushing until I've lost sente. I've already gained a lot over here. And he has to respond to keep me from just destroying this area. And then I get to attach over here, or turn over here, and white comes back and defends. And then I get to play in the center. So I was able to do all of that in sente, and then gain a little more space in the center. So that was a good exchange for me. But it does, white does manage to connect up through the center here, kind of surprisingly. And then while white does that, I in turn get this move at c18. White never defended against that, so I get to undercut this group here. And then this is another point at which the situation changes in the game. It's another slow move from white. Now I should point out that we're getting close to Byoyomi. My opponent might already be in Byoyomi. So definitely time is becoming a factor, you know, and you're looking around quickly for moves. We're sort of getting towards the end game, and sente is very important, but it takes time to survey the situation and find a sente move. So it's easy to make little mistakes like this. But this descent over here is very slow, and it's not sente. It's not threatening anything. So Leela's suggesting that white should play over on this side. So the top choice is just to strengthen these stones here. Second choice is to play over here, poking at this gap in my wall there. And then the third choice was to play here, making two stones side by side that way instead of up and down. So those are good moves for white here. After this, there's a move that I have here which actually gives the edge back to black, and that is this move, the squeeze. And unfortunately I didn't play this, but just to show why this is a good move, it seems like it's just gaining a couple points, but it's a little more than that, because this group no longer has a base. I played that turn there, and this group is alive. I think there's no way to kill it, or Leela didn't find a way to kill it. You know, white has a move to defend, but now it's got two eyes. But I can attack this stone, and I also have sente here, so I get another move at this point, either connecting up, taking that stone, or maybe there's a big move somewhere else on the board. Anyway, that's that one move is enough to change the balance of the game. So from this position to this position, in this position, Leela thinks black is winning, and it gives it a very comfortable edge, like another 75 to 25% type edge for black. And then in this position it gives an edge to white, maybe 60-40 or something. I forget exactly, but it's interesting. So I guess what this means, if you think about that in terms of territory, that was really only a handful of points in territory. So actually this is just a close game. And small mistakes like that, which are certainly going to happen in games between double-digit Q players, can change it very radically from one side to the other, at least from the engine estimation. So anyway, after white defended over here, yeah, so instead of doing the, let's back up to that point, got past it. So instead of doing the squeeze, I did a simple turn here. So I'm just turning on top of this stone. This is a sente move. He has to respond to that. And then I came down and played another move over here. I thought that would be a sente move. So I'm looking for those sente moves. I just didn't find the most effective one at that point. And I do get this turn in, so I get to reduce him on this side, but he's still connected up. I could not quite find a way to disconnect him over here. And this, I was thinking this sacrifice might be worth something, but it didn't turn out to have any value. So anyway, I turned my attentions back to the center. Actually, white made another slight mistake here. After I play here, white extended up, and allowed me to cut these stones off. And actually I capture those stones. So this is a mistake. He could have played here and held on to those stones. So this is worth a few points for black. Let's see, he played here, and I saw that. I made the cut. And let's see, at this point, he should probably just give up on those stones right away and play over here. That's where he plays eventually. But he first played a Sente move. Maybe he thought that would save these stones, but I just connect, and those 3 stones are just as dead as the 2 stones were, so that didn't really help him. Now he plays this Hane here. And I have to defend for a little bit here, defend these borders, but I hold on to them okay. And let's see, we got a couple more moves over here. Yeah, after I defend on this side, he pokes in on this side. So white has Sente, and I'm defending, but I'm holding on to my territory and defining the borders. So you can see, got a few points over here. This group has grown pretty large. This group isn't too shabby, but it's not that big, I guess. And then this area in the middle is still a bit undefined. And white got in this Hane down here. That was a big move for white. I block and connect, and we're getting near the final moves that I was able to record. So let's see, I just played here, and it's white's turn to move. The recommended move from Leela is to play on this side and just approach the corner. So this is yet another example where white played a slow move. I think he felt he was ahead at this point and was just playing it safe. So he just played a move here, made sure I didn't have anything going on in this corner. I had thought about it. I mean, I played the sun as a sacrifice, thinking that maybe I could extend here with tempo and get something, but I couldn't ever find anything, and Leela didn't find anything there either. So I think this move he played was unnecessary, that unnecessary defensive move. So let's... did I show a response to that? No, that's just, I just need to defend the corner, and white gained some points there. Anyway, white played here, and so this is one more chance for black to even things up. Now, this is not that dramatic change where it shifted from, white's favor to black's favor by a big margin. This is just changing from white's favor to even. So, but there's a variety of moves that Leela thinks give black an even game here. So the first choice was this move here, poking up on this side, just going for this, and that was its first choice. Its second choice, I think, the idea is to play these in some combination, but its second choice was very interesting. It was this attachment move here in the center, and the sequence of moves after that. This is also something that would have required some reading, but it looks like I managed to make a little more territory in the center this way. White does extend and connect to this group, but I managed to cut off this stone, extend this way, and it rates this as a position that's about even for black. Let's see, another option here was to just defend the corner at this point. And a third option, which is very interesting, is this extension here, because the move I actually played was here. So it's a very subtle difference between these two moves, but Leela thinks this move is even for black. And, well, actually, it has 2 different evaluations, and one evaluation shows it advantage white, and the other evaluation shows advantage black. So I'm averaging them out myself and calling it even. Whereas this, it thinks gives an advantage to white. And if we see where white played, it gave white a Hane here, and so it gave white a couple extra points. So I think that's how close the game is. If it's accurately played from this point on, it's really just a matter of a couple of points going one way or the other. And that's the end of what I recorded. So just to cut to the chase, I'm sure there were many inaccuracies in the remainder, but I did convert a lot of this to territory, and white did eventually win, but only by a few points. So it really was a very close game all the way through, and these small moves in the endgame very well could have made the difference. So anyway, in this last recorded position, I just wanted to show some ideas. First of all, these 3 stones are captured in their mind. So when you think about how much territory I have, it really extends into this area. There are some ideas I have here. One is I still can play this move to hold on to the corner. I have an Atari here which maybe will help me secure the center a little bit. I'm not sure if that helps a whole lot. Atari here, he will just connect. And then I still have this attachment here leading to that sequence of moves that I showed you earlier, and maybe that gains a point or two for me in the middle. So even though Leela at this point thinks that white has the best chance of winning, a better chance of winning than black, I mean, I still think in a practical game between players at this level at least, I think it's still chances for both sides, and it really probably the play in the time scramble determined it. But because I was out of time, I wasn't able to record any more moves than this. Anyway, that's it for this game. Let's go over my conclusions, because I think that's one of the advantages of playing these slow games. It gives you time to think about your moves, and then when you look at the mistakes you make, you can't just say, oh, I was playing too fast. You have to admit that you were actually thinking about those moves, and these kind of mistakes are probably problems with your play. And so what are the things that I noticed when going over it? So, well, kind of in chronological order, I could have learned some of those Josekis a little bit better. I didn't get the most out of the Josekis. There were several places where there were moves that were kind of dual purpose, and I didn't spot them. So I think maybe putting a little more effort into looking for moves that are dual purpose rather than just looking for the single best move in the sense of, a move that does one thing really well. Look for a move that does a couple of things, so rather than looking for kind of the biggest territorial extension, look for a move that maybe gains a little territory and at the same time threatens your opponent in a way that maybe is Sente. I guess Sente also is the same thing. If you can make a move in Sente, that's certainly the way to go. And I'm more or less just thinking about moves more statically, I think. Also, in the same sense, look out for moves that help your opponent. So this is seeing kind of one side of a move. I see how it helps me, but I'm not noticing what is it doing for my opponent. There are several places in the game where I played moves that seemed too cautious. So I was extending where Leela would play a Hane, and this I think is partly to avoid reading. I'm looking into my motives. Why am I playing these cautious moves? Partly I want to play solidly and make sure those groups don't come under attack and leave weaknesses behind that can be exploited later. So that's a good reason for playing solidly. But a bad reason for playing that way is if I'm afraid of them because I'm not so good at reading. I think I just need to. Well, everybody needs to work on their reading, so that goes without saying. And then there are a couple of kind of clever moves that I missed. That idea of using an indirect move to block. For example, instead of directly blocking a stone in the corner, playing an extension here and then trapping the stones that come in. Or the idea of using a squeeze here instead of a turn. So looking for those kind of indirect moves that accomplish your objective instead of playing the most direct move. And then there were really only a couple of reading mistakes in this game where I actually tried to read and I got the wrong answer. So I think overall reading, although reading is the one thing that everybody needs to work on, and that's the key thing that differentiates weaker and stronger players. It's when you have a game between players that are comparable in rank, sometimes it's not the reading that affects things, but these other ideas, just looking for more moves, rather than settling for that first move, looking for those dual purpose moves, looking for moves that indirectly meet the challenges of the position instead of playing the most direct move, and looking out for moves that help my opponent. Those are things I think I can work on in addition to working on my reading. So overall, I would say the tournament was a great experience. I recommend it, and I plan to play in some more. So if you guys enjoy this video, let me know, and I may do this kind of thing again in the future. Okay, see y'all later. Bye.